Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Continue the reading of Bhagavad Gita. Introduction. So, out of these 5 basic subject matters in Bhagavad Gita, it is established that the Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahman, or Supreme Controller, or Paramatma, you may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all.
What you like you use. Is no meaning, that name is important. We use Radhamohan. What you like you use, no problem. No fight for name. We are fighting for name. Go on.
You may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all. The living beings are in quality like the Supreme Controller.
The main thing is living being. And to understand that he is a Supreme Controller. That's it. He is the Savior. But living being has to be clear. If living being is not clear, what he will control? If my living being is not clear, then how I will accept control? He is a controller. Jesus say that only you forget that you are not living being soul, that is your sin. Because you have no sin is this, that you forget yourself. Maria Magdalena is telling. Because living being is forget. Then Savior forget. Because living being is not there, Savior is not existing. That's the point. Always Prabhupada wants to say that you are a Sarup, living being, and develop Sarup Siddhi. This is the behind reason to say all introduction. Go on.
The living beings are in quality like the Supreme Controller. For instance, the Lord has control over the universal affairs, over material nature. Material nature is not independent. She is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. As Lord Krishna says, Prakriti is working under my direction. When we see wonderful...
Now you see, Prakriti is working. My senses is also nature, Prakriti. So how he working under the control of Krishna? Because Krishna created the nature of the all senses. The toys, mother give the toys, Krishna give these toys. This natures are these toys. Why? To make free himself. Mother wants to free herself, then he gives the toys to baby. So these are the toys to forget him. This is the reason behind that senses. That I give you the toys to play, you play with these toys. And in this time you can forget me. And I become so involved in playing, He's a control. What controlling? That you play. toy nature, like a toy, can close the eyes and open the eyes. The play is there, his game is inside. So he do this. Dog can walk. Is a play, there is there. So all senses have their toys and their nature to play games. And when they engage to us, our all body for playing that game. So he is in control. He controlled by this way. That you engage this man for playing these toys. Is a nature. All senses are our nature. And that moment, what we forget our spiritual identity, that I am living being. When I play the toys, then I forget Mama, myself. You check. When the time comes to play the toys, you watch. You remember yourself of remembering that moment. And if you are remembering yourself and you want to play the toys, it will be not very interesting. When you start playing the toys, when this comes, that time you only identify that you are a spirit soul. And then you see what is happening to you. You will be in a few minutes, you will be tired to forget and relax with that. You don't need to do too long to play the toys. Because satisfaction is not in playing. Satisfaction is to be in self.
When we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation there is a controller. Nothing could be manifested.
Loudly.
Nothing could be manifested without being controlled. It is childish not to consider the controller. For instance, a child may think that a car is quite wonderful to be able to run without a horse or other animal pulling it. But a sane man knows the nature of the car's engineering arrangement. He always knows that behind the machinery there is a man, a driver. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is a driver under whose direction everything is working. Now, the jivas, or the living entities,
you see, always living entity. Where Krishna is coming? Living entity is not there, where Krishna will come. When Jesus is not there, where his Father will come. Son has to be there to see Father. Living entity is the existence of your son nature. Is a child. When son is not there, you cannot see Father. Similarly, when you don't see the living entity, how you will connect with the Savior? Impossible. And we want to do that is just artificial, hypocrisy. What to practice? Sarup and Sarup Siddhi. And how it can be possible? By devotional practice. And how devotional practice will happen? with love relationship, loving relationship, intimacy. Go on.
Now the jivas, or the living entities, have been accepted by the Lord as His parts and parcels. A particle of gold is also gold. A drop of water from the ocean is also salty. And similarly, we the living entities, being part and parcel of the Supreme Controller, Ishvara or Bhagavan, Lord Shri Krishna, have all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in minute quantity, because we are small Ishvaras, subordinate Ishvaras.
We have the same nature of Savior. So what this nature is? One is the independency. Anyone see all are independent. No ready to listen anyone. All independent. If you see the Savior, Lord is also very independent. He cannot stay one place. So we have a small nature. What do you say? Marginal?
Ping pong.
Ping pong. Ping pong. He live in the kunja and again he go out from there to the cow playing. He cannot stay with the cow. He cannot stay with all the time with Radha or Gopis. He will play, very independent and very marginal. He cannot stay one place. So our nature is also like this. But small, but is there. Is there. You cannot say that you are not independent. So why the scriptures say to take Saranagati? Take the shelter. We practice only one word, but we cannot do. Because of the soul. Because of the soul, we are the part and parcel of the Supreme. This is nature. You think that I took shelter of this person, I will jump and die. But it's very difficult to practice to be under Sharanagati, to accept someone. 10 days you will do, one day you will say, no, independent something to think. This is the Lord nature completely to everyone. Go on.
We are trying to control nature, as presently we are trying to control space or planets.
We try to control my senses. Nature means senses also. But sorry, but we will try to control my senses. They are trying to control me also. You what? They try to control my mind and to me. And they direct you to do this. No, it's not good. Do this. And yes, you are right, this is good chance to do. And we do that. Why? Because We cannot control them because this is controlled by Supreme. This is your nature fix. Make this kama, lust, all to create that they can forget me. What mother bring toy? To forget me. Huh? ठीक है. ठीक है. Forget me, mother wants only why she bring the toys and varieties of toys to forget. Baby can forget me for 1 hour or 5 hours. At this point, he fixed in me that you can forget me. Go on.
We are trying to control nature, as presently we are trying to
Control nature is not possible. You understand? Not see the nature outside. This nature, man. See from this body. They control me, sorry. For me, my experience, they control me. Up to 50 years, they are controlling me and I have to dance for them. Yeah.
What happened at 50?
I took sannyas, then other things start working. Then somebody fall in love, then they forget everything that happened. I decide to fall in love to do something else. In love, not in renouncement. I never think renouncement is more important. I think real renouncement is love. When you have a 10 friend, boyfriend, what do you say, friends, then if you have a one boyfriend, you renounce 9 friends. Right? Why renounce? Because you are not interested. Now you have a boyfriend. So similar happened when I got my Swamini, Radhika and Radha Mohan, then I renounced other things. All luxury, or all comforts and all material things. No meaning. And when I am catching, they are not, I cannot catch them. And when I leave them, I come to him, everything is coming to me. So Krishna say, when I took someone, I take everything of him. So I was empty, I have no penny even. And then he gave me only to fly. And to where I go, my home. So many places, home and family I have. So how I renounce if I have a family? If my family is growing and I say I renounce, no. I become so attached that I have a big family. And this attachment make me to renounce everything. There is no big meaning. Attachment make you to renounce. This is my realization. Maybe somebody realize that renouncement make renouncement. I don't know. I never see. Attachment make renouncement. This is my idea. If you attach, you renounce other. You watch.
we are trying to control nature as presently we are trying to control space or planets. And this tendency to control is there because it is in Krishna. But although we have a tendency to lord it over material nature, we should know that we are not the supreme controller. And this is explained in Bhagavad Gita.
You see, I want to control material nature, planet, universe, everything. But I am not a controller. And the sense, Prakriti also controlled by Supreme. So who wins? I want to control my nature and I am working for that, but the nature control me. So who winner? Senses winner. Why? This is controlled by Krishna. How possible that I can control that? Impossible. We cannot. Because these natures are controlled by him. Not in my control. And because of that, this nature will control me also. And they will say to dance and I have to dance. No way out.
What is material nature? This is also explained in Gita as inferior prakriti, inferior nature. The living entity is explained as the superior prakriti.
Living entity is only superior. Superior nature.
Prakriti is always under control, whether inferior or superior.
And my material nature is also controlled by him, is a Prakriti. And superior Prakriti is my living entity. Both are in its control.
Prakriti is female and she is controlled by the Lord.
And you see, my spiritual nature, spiritual thing, identification, is also Prakriti and is a female, is not male. Prakriti means female. The senses is female.
Prakriti is always subordinate, predominated by the Lord, who is predominator. The living entities and material nature are both predominated, controlled by the Supreme Lord. According to the Gita, the living entities, although parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are to be considered Prakriti.
So, our Prakriti, Deha, spiritual body, is Prakriti. Although I am a human body or female body, what is the difference between the Prakriti and Purush, male and female? You know, the nature of male is to enjoy, and the female nature to enjoyed by enjoyer. He needs one enjoyer to enjoy. He is supposed to enjoy. If the female has the nature to enjoy, is also Purusha. In the body consciousness, enjoyment nature when come is a male nature. And in the male nature, in the body, enjoyment nature will come. Your male or female is no meaning. So in the male-female body, also nature is enjoying, means is a Purusha. So we need to take our spiritual identity because that is the female. That is the truth. So we need to know Sarup, and to develop perfection in that is the important. Because the Sarup is Prakriti, the soul is Prakriti, and to practice and live this perfection is the goal of the spiritual life, goal of Krishna consciousness. That I want to say. Prabhupada's way to goal is to Sarup and Sarup Siddhi, to develop your female nature, Prakriti nature. So your senses will not disturb you when you will become female. If you become male, it will always disturb and will come. Enjoyment tendency, they will disturb you to play games. You cannot stop it. Without Sarup and perfection of your Sarup, without Prakriti, you cannot develop. You go.
So according to the Gita, the living entities, although parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are to be considered Prakriti.
You see, why is Prakriti? Why mention that living identity is Prakriti? Why is mentioned? To know this, to practice this is important thing.
This is clearly mentioned in the 7th chapter, 5th verse of Bhagavad Gita. This Prakriti is my lower nature, and beyond this there is another Prakriti, Jiva Bhutam, the living entity.
Again read this line.
This Prakriti this is clearly mentioned in the 7th chapter, 5th verse of Bhagavad Gita. This Prakriti is my lower nature, and beyond this
Lower
nature.
This Prakriti.
And beyond this, there is another Prakriti, Jiva Bhutam, the living entity. Prakriti itself is constituted by 3 qualities: the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Above this mode there is eternal time, and by combination of these modes of nature and under the control and purview of eternal time, there are activities which are called karma. These activities are being carried out from time immemorial, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruits of our activities. For instance, suppose I'm a businessman and have worked very hard with intelligence and have a great bank balance, then I'm enjoyer. But then say I have lost all my money in a business, then I'm sufferer. Similarly, in every field of life, we enjoy the results of our work, or we suffer the results. And this is called karma. So Ishvara means Supreme Lord, Jiva means living entity, Prakriti means nature, eternal time, and karma means activity, are all explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Out of these five, the Lord, the living entities, material nature, and the time are eternal. The manifestation of Prakriti may be temporary, but it is not false. Some philosophers say that the manifestation of material nature is false, but according to the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, or according to the philosophy of the Vaishnavas, this is not so. The manifestation of the world is not accepted as false. It is accepted as real, but temporary. It is likened unto cloud which moves across the sky, or the coming or the coming of the rainy season which nourishes grains. As soon as the rainy season is over, and as soon as the cloud goes away, all the crops which were nourished by the rain dry up. Similarly, this material manifestation takes place at a certain interval, stays for a while, and then disappears. Such are the workings of Prakriti. But this cycle is working eternally. Therefore, Prakriti is eternal. It is not false. The Lord refers to this as my Prakriti. This material nature is the separated energy of the Supreme Lord. And similarly, the living entities are also the energy of the Supreme Lord, but they are not separated. They are eternally related. So the Lord, the living entity, material nature, and time are all interrelated and are all eternal. However, the other item, karma, is not eternal. The effects of karma may be very old indeed. We are suffering or enjoying the results of our activities from time immemorial, but we can change the results of our karma or our activity, and this change depends on the perfection of our knowledge. We are engaged in various activities. Undoubtedly, we do not know what sort of activities we should adopt to gain relief from the action and reaction of all these activities. But this is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The position of Ishvara is that of supreme consciousness. The jivas, or the living entities, being parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are also conscious. Both the living entity and material nature are explained as Prakriti, the energy of the Supreme Lord. But one of the two, the jiva, living entity, is conscious. The other Prakriti is not conscious. And that is the difference. Therefore, the jiva Prakriti is called superior because the jiva has consciousness which is similar to the Lord's. The Lord's is
similar to the Lord. And if I want to be known to Him, I have to come to the similarity to understand Him. We cannot understand without in material nature. We have to come to the living identity. Knowing only. Living and loving is a different issue. To come out from the doubt also can be a living identity. And Prakriti, the material nature, is living to forget that. This is the duty of that material nature. How you can be far from that? This is the work of material nature. Like a toys mother brings, this is the toys for the baby to forget mother. Very clearly. You ask a mother why she buys the toys. She knows this toys after 2 years she has to throw it out. But she buys big money toys. That is material nature, my baby will forget me. I know.
What? Mike.
Why would the divine, why would God want to be separated from us? Why would He want to have a break from us?
Huh?
You gave the example of mother wanting to have a break from the children, so she gives toys. So she's asking, why would God want to have a break from us? Why?
It's many work. Mother has a many work. She has to cook, she has to care the home, cleaning house, many things. And mother needs some time to do that.
If the Supreme is all-pervading, all-powerful, omnipotent...
Loud, I don't understand.
If the Supreme is omnipotent, all-powerful, pervading, then how... Yeah, I don't see how it would have a desire.
You can see mother.
Yeah.
Mother wants time. Why not he will need time? He wants to test you cry or not for him. You have a desire for him or not. Baby when cry, mother can do the work. And when baby not cry, mother will work. So we never cry for mama. That's our mistake. Busy, she is very busy in some work. She will throw everything that listens the noise of baby. She is ready to cry or crying. But we never do that. We never think for that. Because we live in only playing nature. We don't want to identify my nature that I am living identity. I am ready to suffer, but we don't want to remember this. Then I am a living identity.
The Lord,
Right? Okay? Go on.
the Lord is supreme consciousness. However, one should not claim that the jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious.
You can understand every page how many times living identity and jiva mentioned by Prabhupada. And how many times he mentioned, only to connect with the Lord he mentioned that. The basic thing is jiva. Basic thing is the son, then father. Basic thing is you. Basic thing that you identify yourself, then you will move there. I'm not ready to understand that. How I will move there? Impossible. How I can do devotion? How I can do any positive thing? Basic thing only to identify and live in this consciousness. That is his teaching. By devotional practice, you can realize Sarup and Sarup Siddhi. Go on.
The living being cannot be supremely conscious at any stage of his perfection. And the theory that he can be so is misleading theory. Conscious he may be, but he is not perfectly or supremely conscious.
You see? Because he is conditional, because of the senses. Maya will control back again. Lava, puja, pratishtha. If you want to be a very conscious, lava, puja, pratishtha, many respect will come to you. Ego will become very high. Everybody will start worshipping you. And many monetary benefits start coming, then what you will do that? Again you have a calculation to expend that. Lava, puja, pratishtha, and respect, my God. Ego is going high and high, never happened like this.
Distinction between the jiva and the Ishvara will be explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is Kshetragyan, conscious, as is the living being. But the living being is conscious of his particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies, because he lives in the heart of every living being. He is conscious of the psychic movements of the particular jivas. We should never forget this. It is also explained that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara, as the controller, and he is giving directions for the living entity to act as he desires. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes determination to act in certain way. And then he is entangled in the acts and reactions of his own karma. I want to repeat this, sorry. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes determination to act in a certain way, and then he is entangled in the acts and reactions of his own karma, After giving up one type of body, he enters another type of body, as we put on and take off old clothes. As the soul thus migrates, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities. These activities can be changed when the living being is in the mood of goodness and understand what sort of activities he should adopt. If he does so, then all the actions and reactions of his past activities can be changed. Consequently, karma is not eternal. This is positive. Therefore, we stated that of the 5 items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, time, and karma, 4 are eternal, whereas karma is not eternal.
Acting. Actor. And one is the audience who looking the actors. And the actors are success when audience like acting. Right or not? Actors acting is successful when audience appreciate that. Oh, very nice, wonderful. Same audience coming again and again to watch. And that is the success of actor. So beauty is this, to become audience, to see the actors. This is the one book very nice of Anandas Babaji. What is the name?
Rasa Darshan.
Rasa Darshan.
We are printing it.
Printing?
Really?
Yes.
Wonderful, you read this. I read 2-3 pages. My God. He makes to understand to all individual person. Very high class. Means, in your sarup, spiritual form, how you can see rasa, darshan of rasa. Feeling make you to understand rasa. By your devotion is a bhava, feeling. Feeling, by feeling, when your feeling is fixed, then you see always living in rasa. That you will see. And so simply, I like so much. I remember Praneshwar, and I am looking, acting of him. Yes, Rasa Das. Sriyan, go on. No mic. Yeah. Karma means I am a doer. Actor also become not acting. He become puppet, then he is big high class actor.
Yes.
When he feels something is happening inside. I become a student, then he become more sweet acting.
Then you become Hollywood star.
Yeah. High class star.
Bollywood, sorry.
Bollywood star.
High class.
Go on.
So the Supreme Conscious Ishvara is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. It is not that the consciousness is generated by the association of matter. This is a mistaken idea. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita.
Again.
Everything.
Good.
You bring the what?
They send the visa also. Just now. 1 hour before.
Yeah.
How long?
1 year.
Very good. You bring the watch? I say want to bring watch.
Gopinath.
Bring. Jackson, क्या हो?
Yeah.
And Jasoda Maiya also.
I don't know.
The Supreme Conscious Ishvara is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. It is not...
This is the beauty. This is my devotion. This is my connection. But it not happen. We never stay in living entity. Then I start connecting with Supreme with non-living entity. It's not working. Ritual by the So we interested in Vaidhi Bhakti because of that. And when we stay in living identity, then it becomes spiritual. Understand? Go on.
It is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That is mistaken idea.
Yes. That's the mistaken idea. Jai Prabhupada.
Gurudev, you're always telling that soul cannot do sin.
You are always telling that the soul cannot do the sin.
See?
Sin.
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 Ah, yeah.
You're always telling that.
This is the sin that we forget.
Yeah.
For 5 minutes, that 5 minutes I can do all nonsense. You escape for 5 minutes to do nonsense only. Forget yourself for 5 minutes, your identification is ready for sin that moment.
Yeah.
You don't bother. Many will come, Maya will come.
Yeah.
And they will catch that you cannot escape from that. Radhe.
Radhe.
Welcome, welcome, Govinda. You bring visa also for Jarho.
Gurudev sent this for you. What's
Underground.
that?
Let it see. It's a one small thing.
God.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Your order I have to follow. You know, this is living. Go on.
The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Sri Radhe. Understand, my dear friends? Yeah?
The theory that the consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material
Sri
combination
Radhe.
is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita.
Sri Radhe. This is the key of Bhagavad Gita. Not accepted.
Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be certain color. But the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected.
Sri Radhe. Never affected. Never touched. Underline it.
Yes.
Why this Sarup and Sarup Siddhi is I am telling you for that point. Why important? Is not accepted without Sarup and Sarup Siddhi. You will never understand. Material nature cannot reach there. Understand? No? Explain. Explain, Radha Shakti, you know this.
But actually, I feel that Prabhupada here is referring actually to the evolution theory. You know, like we are saying that the life came from the matter. So he's here explaining that we are transcendental from the nature. We are like living entities, same nature as the Lord, and we are both transcendental. So we are coming from the transcendental platform and not from the matter. So he's here explaining that the theory that consciousness develops, you know, this evolution theory, under certain circumstances of material combination, under certain circumstances of material, like hydrogen, oxygen coming together, and then like all explosion, what they're explaining that the earth become earth and the blah blah blah. So
The baby covered with the mother and father semen coming out, but the material nature is this, But the spiritual nature, living identity is also there.
Yeah.
That comes from the Lord.
From the transcendental.
Yes, see that.
So, consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be certain color. But the consciousness of the Lord is not material affected. Lord Krishna says, when he descends in the material universe, his consciousness is never materially affected. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from material contaminated consciousness.
Yeah.
Once more,
Again.
Yeah, again. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness.
Yeah. Understand? Friends also start dancing. For this. They cannot talk anything. They are foolish to talk without purity. Again repeat.
One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness.
That means hypocrite. What you see is not right.
time or
What you listen is not right.
The Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness, because in pure consciousness our actions will be dovetailed.
Dovetailed. Dovetailed.
What?
Dovetailed.
What is it?
Can you explain?
It's like milk and yogurt are the same, but yet they're different. So we do an activity, and if it's done in transcendental consciousness, then it becomes a spiritual activity, not a material activity.
Again, we say in English, again repeat. Give to us.
Prabhupada used the word dovetailing very many times. So he's saying that we don't have to give up or renounce material life or material activities, but we dovetail it. We do it in the service of Krishna. We do it in the service of spiritual activity. The same activity, like becoming a husband or a wife or having a job, if we do that in the service of Krishna, that's called dovetailing. It's a change of consciousness. You're still doing the same activity, but it's being done in spiritual consciousness.
I would just say, like, simply, in pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of Ishvara, means guided to the will, or subordinate to the will of Ishvara. And that will make us happy. and Ishvara is Krishna, Lord. It is not that we have to cease all activities, to stop all activities. Rather, our activities are to be purified, and purified activities are called bhakti.
Yeah.
Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. An ignorant person may see that devotee is acting or walking or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. They are transcendental to the three moods of nature. We should know, however, that at this point our consciousness is contaminated. When we are materially contaminated, we are called conditioned. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am product of material nature, and this is called false ego. One who is absorbed in the thought of bodily conceptions cannot understand his situation. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life.
Wow. Bhagavad Gita only to liberate from bodily consciousness. To liberate from life, from your spiritual living identity. Sri Radha.
And Arjuna put himself in this position in order to receive this information from the Lord. One must become free from the bodily conception of life, and that is the preliminary activity for the transcendentalist. One who wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn that he is not this material body.
Yeah.
Mukti, or liberation, means freedom from material consciousness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, definition of liberation is given. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness of this material world and situation in a pure consciousness.
Understand? Go on.
All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are intended to awaken this pure consciousness.
Sri Radha. All Bhagavad Gita instructions awake your consciousness. Know yourself. Sri Radha.
All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are intended to awaken this pure consciousness. And therefore, we find at the last stage of the Gita's instructions that Krishna is asking Arjuna whether he is now in purified consciousness. Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instructions of the Lord.
Is the devotee acting what you like. What you like according you. That's a devotion. According you, why I want to assign with you, according your desire I want to work with this consciousness.
Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instructions of the Lord. This is the whole sum and substance of purified consciousness.
Saru. Yeah.
Consciousness is already there because we are part and parcel of the Lord. But for us, there is the affinity of being affected by the inferior moods. But the Lord, being supreme, is never affected. And that is the difference between the Supreme Lord and conditioned souls. What is this consciousness? This consciousness is I am. Then what am I? In contaminated consciousness, I am means I'm the Lord of all. I'm the enjoyer. The world revolves because every living being thinks that he is the Lord and creator of the material world. Material consciousness has two psychic divisions. One is that I'm the creator, and the other is that I'm the enjoyer. But actually, the Supreme Lord is both the creator and enjoyer, and the living entity, being part and parcel of the Lord, is neither the creator nor the enjoyer, but cooperator.
You see, cooperator, manjaris, cooperating, working for you. How merciful he is.
The living entity is the created and enjoyed. For instance, a part of machine cooperates with the whole machine. A part of the body cooperates with the whole body. The hands, feet, eyes, legs, and so on are all parts of the body. But they are not actually the enjoyers. The stomach is the enjoyer. The legs move, the hands supply food, the teeth chew, and all parts of the body are engaged in satisfying the stomach, because the stomach is the principal factor that nourishes the body's organization. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the enjoyer and the creator, and we, as subordinated living beings, are meant to cooperate to satisfy him.
हो गया?
हो गया. Because Arati is soon.
Yes, Radha. It's still not ending. But it's coming only living entity.
I'm sure Gurudev, you like to read this everything.
100%. I want to learn.
Acha.
What is Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada asked, what you understand? What is for Bhagavad Gita? to selling books. You who thousands book every week I sell because the best book. But what you understand with this? Krishna consciousness is the highest. Sit down. So meaning is something, to answer is something. Everybody says, sit down, sit down. Follow the Varnashram Dharma. It's the last teaching of Prabhupada. He said, what is your last message? He said, follow Varnashram Dharma. Because they cannot follow that also. By God. And Mahaprabhu rejected this Varnashram Dharma. Basically, nothing. Go on. Rai Ramananda. Sita Ramananda. Sambhad. Mahaprabhu. He read all. He is writing Ketan Chetan. But he said, only I say that Varnashram Dharma they follow. This is the point to understand. We have to only meditate in living identity. Then I can see the Creator, Savior. And that will move his spiritual life before all religious activity. Sri Ram. Even Jesus said, right? He was in living identity, son and father. Why his father? How is he? God is his father? But he accepts father. Because relation is the Vedic philosophy. Devotion is the Vedic philosophy. Without relation, you cannot love. Intimacy. Right? All is coming, intimacy. Your feeling. What is he is not in feeling of the son and father? Feeling. He was always in rasa. He was like a mad. You see his madness? He never cared for the clothes. He never cared for his living. He has no home. Never cared for anything. He is a rasa. That is the juicy. Always he is drinking the nectar. By his devotional feeling, living in the feeling, always in rasa. Other thing is a mad. This is Vedic philosophy. How you can hide this? So similarly, we have to come to identify living identity. You are a preacher. Say, Jai Krishna Tattvavetta, who knows about Krishna Tattva means you have to know yourself. Say Guru Har. Not try to become Guru if you don't live in living identity. Radhe Radhe Go.